Yep.
Welcome. 7 years ago today, during praise and worship, the Sunday after Thanksgiving, 2013, a lady of the Lord got healed. Her name is Annette Lapine. She's a mighty woman of God. She's got a testimony of what happened to her in the wheelchair during praise and worship 7 years ago. Would you please welcome Annette Lapine?
Hello, I'm Annette Lapine. 7 years ago today, I was on my way to the grocery store. We were having a picnic up at our campers, and I got about 2 miles away from our house, and a dog ran out in front of me. And I am a big animal lover, and I did not want to hit the dog, so I slammed on my brakes and I swerved, and that made me go off into the grass on the other side of the road. And at the end, I saw, or at least I thought I saw, a child. So I swerved back over onto the road, and my wheel, as it was coming out off of the grass, I hit the brakes and it swerved me over to the other side. I hit a guardrail, and let me tell you, when I hit it, I knew I hit it. It was the most intense. When people talk about a white blinding light of pain, they are not kidding. When I hit that guardrail, my whole vision went white, and I couldn't see anything. And then little sparkly things were coming through my vision, and that's all I could see was this bright light and these little sparkly floaters. And at first I thought that I was blind, but I was not blind, thank God. My vision did come back. The pain was just so intense that it blinded me for a second. After that, I started rolling. I rolled like, 3 or 4 times. And I came to a stop. There was a woman who came out of her house and came over to me, and I told her who my husband was, and I asked her to call him, and she did that. And I don't know who got there first. When I came to again, my husband was there, so were the police and firemen, I think. And they were trying to get me out of my car, but it proved not to be so easy. They ended up having to get the Jaws of Life to come and help me get out of the car. When I was sitting in the car, I remember my husband asking the guy questions. It must have been a paramedic. And the guy didn't answer his questions. He asked if I was going to make it. And the guy didn't answer him. And I looked up and I saw him do this. And I don't know if he was telling him no or telling him I don't know. But that is when I started praying. When I hit that telephone pole, I shouted out to Jesus. I said, Jesus, save me. And thank God I did, because he did save me. They thought I had died a couple of times, and I was brought back. When I was sitting in they were not able to put me in an ambulance because I had to be flown, I guess, to get me there quicker. But they couldn't get me to the ambulance. They had to get me to the ambulance to get me to the helicopter because the distance was so great. So they got me to the ambulance, then they got me to the helicopter, and as I'm sitting in the helicopter, I guess I stopped breathing a couple of times, and In the helicopter, I remember one of the people saying, I don't know if she's going to make it, you better hurry. So after that, I don't remember much of anything until I was already in the hospital and my husband was beside me. It was a very trying time, to say the least. When we got into the hospital, there were so many doctors and nurses around me. I remember they put me up on the floor. I was in, I guess I was in ICU. I don't really remember that. I remember my husband getting the doctors to pull the glass out of my face and head because there was so much of it. We were actually pulling glass out of my body for months and months afterwards. And my husband sat there picking it out of my head the entire time I was in the hospital. There was a lot of glass. When I spent about 2 weeks in the main hospital, I think, 2 weeks to a month, I can't remember which.
2 weeks.
They lost hope for me to stand after they got the results back. The results of the test showed that I had a tethered spine. Now, they told me once tethered, it's always tethered, that they can't do surgery to reverse it, and that nothing will ever change it, that once it's tethered, it will stay tethered, and that I will never walk again. That is what they told me. They were very wrong, because I know Jesus Christ. But after the hospital, they sent me on to I went to a rehabilitation center where I spent another month. There they taught me how to use my wheelchair and do some of the things that I could do they taught me how to do some of the things that I could do in the wheelchair. Like, moving myself from the wheelchair to a chair or to the bathroom. I could move myself from the wheelchair to the toilet, or from the wheelchair to the couch, or they taught me how to cook in the wheelchair. Although my kitchen would have had to have been reconstructed, I would have eventually been able to cook with the wheelchair. But I was not one to give up. The moment they told me that I would never walk again, I started praying and believing that I would be healed. Thank God I knew who God was. That's all I got to say. I feel sorry for those who don't know. I spent every moment that I had, and I had a lot of moments because I was very far away from home, which meant my husband and my kids didn't get to come see me, which also means I struggled and had to fight off depression because I was alone and I was facing not ever walking again. I was terrified. I was beyond terrified. But I was not going to let Satan win, because Satan comes to kill, steal, and destroy. And that's exactly what he was trying to do to me and to my family. And I wasn't going to let him win. So every moment I had, I spent praying, I spent believing, and I spent worshiping and thanking God for the gifts that he has already given and for the many gifts that are yet to come. I thanked him for my healing, even though I had yet to see it, because he promised that I would have it, so I knew that I would have it. So I believed. And I believed some more. And I stood on his word and I fought. I fought as hard as I could. And every moment that I struggled to move from one place to the next, I gave God thanks for the ability to use my arms to help me move. I thanked him for everything that I was able to do, and I never mentioned the things that I was not able to do. I believe that if we stand on his word without falter, without fail, that he will, in his own time, let everything that you've asked to come to fruition. If I had given up, if I had let my mind wander for just one moment, it would have delayed my healing. It would have delayed the outcome because I had not trusted God. And when you don't trust God, even for just a moment, it delays whatever he has for you. So if I can get you to do one thing, it would be to believe for whatever you're wishing for, whatever you're wanting, just to believe without falter. Give him praise, give him honor, and give him glory for everything, even in the most trying times, because it's in those times that God sees that you are willing and able to give him praise and honor and glory, even though you are not at your best. I think that means a tremendous amount to God. I think that it makes him smile to know that we love him even in our most horrible times. And I believe without a shadow of a doubt that I was healed because I was able to believe without falter and without fail. And let me tell you, it was not easy. Because I watched my kids and my grandkids growing up and doing things without me that I couldn't do with them, that I normally would be. And it was hard. It was extremely hard for somebody who was so active to become inactive. It was very hard for me. But on the Sunday after Thanksgiving, I was sitting here in my wheelchair praising God, and all of a sudden he told me to stand up. So I did. And my husband came down around, because the week before I had tried to do it on my own. I wanted to stand so badly that I tried to do it on my own, and it didn't go well. Which is why my husband came down to try to help me. But this time I didn't let him get to me. I told him to stop, that I could do it. And when I did that, I started walking, and then I started running. I had been in that wheelchair for 6 months. There is no way that I should have been able to stand or walk or run. Even if nothing had been wrong with my legs, I shouldn't have been able to do that, because if you don't use your limbs for that amount of time, they will atrophy, and you will not, they'll be like mush. You won't be able to, they won't stand. They just won't. But if God's on your side, you don't have to worry about that. And I obviously had God on my side that day. When I started running around this place, it was amazing. It was the most amazing thing I have ever felt in my life, and I will never forget it. And I don't think anybody that witnessed it will ever forget it. You know, it's funny because I didn't know this, but my husband tells this story all the time. And when he's telling it, he's going, you know, and I tried. I tested her legs all the time. He said that he used to go to my legs, to my feet while I was sleeping and poke me with pins to see if my feet or my legs would respond. Of course, they never did. And I never knew he did that because I certainly went to let him. But I found it kind of funny that he did that. But he did. So he says there was no way that those legs were working. That she didn't feel anything. I know that to be true. So when God healed me, God healed me. Amen. It was a true healing, and I am so blessed. The doctors still say to this day that I should not be walking because my spine is still tethered, which means that everybody else has a free-moving spine. When you twist and when you turn, your back moves with you. Mine is tethered to my
spine.
Well, the bottom of my spine, where my butt bone is. It's tethered to that, so it does no longer move, but I can move. It doesn't stop me from moving at all, not at all. As you all see, I am having a little bit of difficulty today, but just so you are aware, it has nothing to do with what happened to my legs. I do have a back issue. I've had rods, pins, screws, and cages put into my back to make me stand.
Before the accident.
Because before my accident, yes. I broke my back a long time ago. But it's just amazing what God can do.
Amen.
It is just amazing what he can do and what he will do for anyone, because I'm not special, people. There's nothing special about me. I'm just another person. The only difference is that I believed what God told me to believe. And because I did, I am able to walk and to stand. Thank you, Jesus.
Amen.